Hello, everyone, and welcome back again to second edition of Cleap Security Conference, CleapCon 2022. So, CleapCon is an annual conference organized by Cleap Technologies where we cover all novel and new topics under the security domain. We founded Cleap Conference in 2021 to raise awareness about cybersecurity in the world. Since that time, it has annually brought together leaders from industry, government, academics, security researchers, motivational speakers, and today we have one such huge personality among us. Over to you, Pooja.
Thank you, Shivani. Our first motivation speaker is known as Happiness Woman. Why do people call her? Because of her incredible work as a motivational speaker, and she has passion to empower adults and girls and women. And she has successfully completed empowering 4,17,000 students, women, and girls in making them realize their rights to live happily through unique workshop by name Smile. So please welcome Dr. Kavita C. Kotwama.
Thank you so much, Shivani, and thank you, Pooja, for your kind introduction and a wonderful evening to the viewers and viewers here, offline and online. I would definitely say it's my absolute pleasure to be a part of Cleap Security Conference, CleapCon 2022. When I was invited, I was just wondering, how do I make my place here? How do I connect myself here? Because you got more to do with the technical things, and then there's not much of a mind involved. Then I was just wondering, because I'm talking about security of the people. Security of your mind, security of your personality. I think without which it would be impossible for you to just move ahead with securing the other systems. When we don't secure our own system, then there's no point in securing other systems. So I was just thinking that probably I definitely make a strong presence in terms of your conference. So thank you so much, and it's my pleasure to be a part of the conference today. uh, I thought that when I was just asked, like, what would I like to talk about, because this is my flagship model, happiness is your birthright. I have been talking about it for the past 11 years now, 11 plus years now. In fact, my intent is to really bring in happiness to a million lives before I leave the planet. So I take every opportunity to see that, because touching million lives, we cannot really sit down, waiting for an invitation. Rather, we have to keep taking the opportunities to touch a million lives. That's how I'm here today. So it's a pleasure. Uh, we all know it's so fundamental, though happiness is the basic fundamental right and fundamental existence of every human on this planet earth. But unfortunately, a situation has come wherein we are supposed to teach happiness. How many of you do remember, as a child, probably you cried for your basic needs, but otherwise there was a kind of a happiness that was put up with you all through. When you wake up in the morning, you play with your friends, you're happy. You see something, a small toy, you're happy. And then you see your parent, cuddle your parent, you're happy. Cuddle your friends, hug your friends, you're happy. So there's so much of happiness as a child when we take birth on this planet. The inherent nature of every human existence is to feel the joyful moods, is to be happy. But as we are growing up, as the wisdom starts rising up, I think somewhere down the lane, we are just losing out that element of happiness. And that's where, like, people like me have to come into picture to teach happiness. Though I personally, I don't prefer this, but because it is the time and it is my purpose to do that, so I'm doing this. So there's been a beautiful research that's just taken up in Harvard University by two wonderful psychologists, Dr. Matthews and Dr. Daniel, who done a study, and they found out that 46.9% of the times during the waking up hours, I'm talking about the waking up hours, the mind is wandering on the unhappy events or the sad events that we face, that we faced recently or that's troubling us, probably. I'm not here mentioning about the time. I'm mentioning about the sad event, the unhappy moment, or the kind of, the negative emotions that we've been experiencing. And 46.9%, we talk about almost 50% of the time. 50% of the waking up hours, we are just thinking about it. We're not thinking about the positive things that is happening. If I have to really mention why do we do that and why are we doing this, the reason is pretty simple. The reason is like we've been hardwired to survive because any living thing that takes birth on this planet, the first instinct is to survive. Any living thing has to survive. Look, how do I survive? Do I survive if I think positively? Do I survive if I'm hungry, if I'm going hungry, if I'm starving for a couple of days? I don't have a shelter above my head and I don't have a clothing to wear because I don't have self-esteem, I don't have love. I don't have any physical needs met, emotional needs met, and can I really survive? I really cannot survive. So the first thing, when something happens to a person's life, the mind is it's a very tricky organ. The mind, the brain is a very tricky organ. The brain instructs you that there is something wrong. There is something wrong. So the attention, the focus onto a negative element is always much higher. This is something that we first need to understand. We have been hardwired like this just not today. It's since the birth of or since the evolution of the human beings. I would call about the first man and the women. When the man used to go for hunting, to get food, to fetch food for the family, there used to be threats, natural disasters, so there could be threat for life. So that the kind of precautionary measure, thinking negatively and trying to be more secure, more safer, has come into existence. It started from there. But unfortunately, this triggering has been so high, and passed down to generations together that even if there is a very small thing that, let us say that your boss has gone wild with you for some reason, or your friend has been rude with you, or your child has not reciprocated to you the way, you're still upset. The way the threat to life has come in, because that's the hardwiring that has happened in the mind. Because of this kind of hardwiring that has happened over, we are really forced to think negatively. We don't go ahead with a positive note. We don't go ahead with a positive thought process. And if you really note, as per the research, as per the study done by the Harvard psychologists, 46.9% of the time, almost half of your waking up hours, you are just thinking about the things that have troubled you. It could be your work, it could be your finances, it could be your relationships, it could be your survival, it could be your fame, it could be your name, it could be your self-esteem, name what not. The most important ingredients for to live on this planet, if something is disturbed, something is touched upon, you just lose out yourself there and you start thinking about it. Why did this happen to me? What did I do that this happened to me? So if we have to understand, this is the reason, this is the study that states that the reason why we need to consciously know we need to be happy, or the reason why consciously we have to understand we need to be happy, the reason is that because being happy is one of our basic rights, and we are naturally, by birth, we are very happy as human being existence. But we somehow down the line we just lose, falling into the trap of the material world, falling into the trap of the earthly existence. So now let me talk about why are we not happy. We said that we are unhappy. I mean, my first thought was like, we spoke about, I tried to tell about the research that states like how much of time that we are unhappy. The second is like, so we all agree that 50% of the time, or 46.9% of the time, is around 47% approximately, to half of our waking up times, we are just thinking about the negative event. So what makes us think about the negative event? And we know the reason, because that is a way that we hardwired ourselves to survive, and that is the reason how we can survive on this planet. But what are the various situations that make us unhappy? Let us talk. There are certain myths. There are certain myths that are hardly driven into human life right from the childhood, right from the childhood to state, are you a good boy or a bad boy? It starts right from there. If you are a good boy, you have to eat, you have to complete, you have to win the race, you have to get the marks, you have to do this, you have to finish, you have to succeed. So there is a kind of an outcome approach that we start enforcing on people. We start enforcing on people. We tell them that unless until there is an outcome which is expected out from the parents or from the society, one cannot be happy. This is something that we start hardwiring. So there are certain myths, and why do as parents, like why do as parents, why do we do that, and why did our parents do that, why did our grandparents do that to our parents? Let's just have a quick insight into it. The reason why, because there is a myth that states that only achievements lead to happiness and failures lead to unhappiness. Happy endings lead to happy life, and sad endings lead to sad life, and then relationship with a good person is good forever, relationship with a bad person is bad forever. Okay. And if there is adversity in life, if there is something bad happening in life, we feel the life is lost, the life cannot be happy. And the end of a good thing is a start of a bad thing. And and positive things lead to positive situations, and negative things lead to negative situations. So happiness, if you notice, we have been hardwired to think on these lines, that these are the only situations that can give you happiness. There is a very clear cut demarcation, very very clear cut demarcation, that only these things lead to happiness and other things does not lead to happiness. They make you sad forever. So the moment we are into that situation, we start experiencing the stress, we start experiencing the stress. And when we start experiencing the stress, eventually the outcome of it would not be as positive, because the cognition is totally down. Thought process is down. When the thought process is down, your ability to take a decision, your ability to solve a problem eventually comes down. So these are the reasons why these are the certain myths that we have to overcome. So as I mentioned earlier, like these are the myths, and these are the various behavioral approaches that we have been groomed under, because we've been groomed under this. So for us, even the smallest change, the smallest distraction in life makes us lose out on that happiness, that what we otherwise can really see. So there are certain things. Probably I now like to talk about a few strategies on, like, how do you really overcome the negative emotions, the negative elements that exist in your relationships, and few things that really can create stress and create a lot of negativity in your day-to-day life. The first thing is, like, most of the times, between our friends, between the higher authorities, or between our relationships, between the people, there is a kind of an obligation that we are forced to do certain things, despite not really in a mood to do so, because it could be it could be physically exhausting, or because you are not really ready, or you don't have the resources to support that. So we have a problem in saying no. That is the first problem. That is the first inability to say no, is one of the major reasons that really deprives us of happiness like what we have. So, like, how do we say no? We have to say no, but we know pretty well that we don't want to hurt others. We don't want to hurt our loved ones. And we feel we are responsible for certain things. Having taken up the responsibility, we want to fulfill that, because no human being wants to be called bad. We want to say that. So, when we take up a responsibility, whether we have the physical strength, emotional strength, strategy, ability to do that, whether we have or not, after taking it, we struggle ourselves in trying to fulfill that, wherein we cannot say no to certain things. So there is a strategy that I always keep telling people, in my talks. Like, I say that start saying no if you cannot do. It could be like, let's say there are few females, like, few women, like who have to multitask between the career and the family. You come back home and you're so tired, so exhausted, but still you have to cook. And let's say there is some cooking that you can do and finish it off, but there is a demand from the family that you need to have an exhaustive cooking, because it's your weekend, or child wants to eat something, there's a craving for something, you really want to do that. But your physical energy is not really permitting you, supporting you to do that. But despite that, you still want to go and do that. You do it and you're not happy doing that, but despite that, you do that. This is to cite a very small example, a very common example that exists in every household, irrespective of the position, profile, and nature. So, first thing, if there is something, first learn to say no. This is the first strategy that can remove at least 30 to 35% of the stress from you. Like, and I see most often there are pretexts, there are excuses which a person uses to say no. It could be something like, you say, I'll do it, not now, little later. Okay, we try to take time, we try to procrastinate, but we don't want to do that. Let's say your friend is asking you money and you don't have the financial resources to really support your friend, but rather than saying no, you would say that, no, let me check next week, I'm busy right now. Or you say, I'm out of station, or I'll see later. By doing so you are only putting yourself into more trouble and your relationship into more trouble, because when you don't do that, having kept your friend waiting for such a long time, your friend only feels that you're deceptive by nature, you're deceptive by your talk, and you're not a trustworthy person. So your relationship, there could be a bigger chances that the trust in your relationship is broken for some reason. So I think the first thing, so if you cannot say no, rather you try to put forth your situation very openly and very clearly, because it doesn't hurt. Probably it might hurt for that moment, but it doesn't hurt forever. Trust me, it's a fact. It doesn't hurt forever, and you don't feel guilty. Your friend doesn't feel guilty. Your friend might think, your relationship might think, okay, there is a genuine problem associated when the person is not really able to help. The person is really not able to help. So this is something that I always say, that if you don't want to do something, have the ability to say no rather than procrastinating the thing, or giving some excuse, or taking time, or taking excuse as an availability. So this could be one of the biggest reasons, for stress creation. That's okay, you might be hurting the person for that moment, but your relationship is intact. That's pretty more important. I seriously believe that relationship is much more important than really seeing that at that moment, at that position, hurting somebody, with your emotion. That's okay. So try learning, because always remember, your relationship, your people, your community is much more important than thinking about that little moment of hurting somebody. So keep this in mind. When you have to say no, you can be very soft, very sophisticated, and put up things very plainly, stating that I'm really not able to help you because of this reason. Maybe you have to check somebody this way. At least you're giving your friend, asking him to check out some other opportunity, rather than giving them the hope that you would help them at some point of time. Hope that you will help them at some point of time. So learn the art of saying no. That's pretty important. If you don't want to say no, you put up in words, you try to use the words, you try to give your situation. You can do anything, but ensure that the other person understands that you are not in a position to do something for them right now. Second thing, relationship. There is a beautiful research that states that, because all of us live in a society. It could be workplace, it could be family, it could be home, it could be outside, it could be your community, it could be anything. Relationships, the way you behave with person to person, the way you are with person to person, everything matters a lot. Everything does do matter a lot. So relationships, like, there is a beautiful research, that states that, I mean, it's something very surprising, but it states that, you know try to give support when things go right. This is the common mistake that we often keep doing. We don't really support our people, our friends, our family when things really go right. There is some point of celebration in somebody's life. some celebration, some event of moment, that the person is really into, try to celebrate that person, because your relationship is more important than anything else. Because there is something I can give you, probably, three situations, like, or four situations, that can make this point, quite comprehensible and quite easy to understand. Let us say that, I cite this example often. Let us say that, your friend comes to you running, stating that your friend got a promotion, or your family member comes and says the family member got a promotion. Step one, you jump up, you hug your friend, you say, wow, I'm so happy for you, this has happened. And that is something, that happiness, and the other person feels validated with the success. The person feels, I have done something as a social being. There is somebody who's authenticating, or who's validating my success, who's making me feel I'm good, who's making me feel I'm good, because that is our social responsibility. This is a social responsibility. So the other person starts thinking so happy, they feel that the kind of depth of emotion what you have experienced in your success, there is the other person is equally celebrating that, which is something very beautiful, very, very beautiful. This is step one, which is very successful, which is going to make your relationships pretty intact, and which is going to do things very, very good for you. We're talking about the second situation. Your same friend comes and states that he got the promotion, he or she got the promotion. Just look up at the friend and say, "Hey, that's good, that's good. Okay, come, let's go for a dinner, and you make it very subtle. So the intensity of that happiness experienced by that other person, you are not being able to be a part of it. You're not being able to be a part of it. Even during these times, your relationship doesn't stand strong. And there are possibilities that the other person might think he's not happy or she's not happy with my success. So, there is a relationship break. That really happens. This is the second style of this. Third style, the person comes in, you're not bothered at all. You're really not bothered. You're just, you're happy. You said, good, yeah. And you don't give response to it at all. That's the case three. Again, your relationship is lost there. Case four, you get up and you're so violent and you're aggressive and you say that you got this promotion. What basis did they give you promotion? You said you didn't like this promotion, but still you got it. And what did you do? And how are you happy now? And you start stating so many things. So many things. Even under these situations, your relationship is not intact, which is going to create a lot of stress. So as per the research, when somebody is happy, your job is to, really appreciate and then indulge in the happiness, of the other person with the same momentum and interest, because that is an achievement the person has done. And tomorrow you would be in that situation, and probably if you achieve and your expectation of it is also the same, you're not hurt. So this is second reason why we don't feel happy, because the relationships break and we are not so good at relationships and maintaining the relationships, and we cut off somewhere. So we have to understand. The second aspect where the happiness is lost is in the relationships. So it is just not supporting when things go wrong. It is supporting when things go right. When things go right with your friend, with your relationship, it is your responsibility to ensure that you are enjoying, you are being a part of it. That way the stress is not being created. And the third important thing is, like, I tell you a few activities, like how do we really change the negatively hardwired mindset, which I mentioned earlier, into a positive thought mindset, such that we often see more happiness than sadness. There is another interesting research that states that if you are able to see happiness to sadness in a ratio of 3:1, if you are able to see experience three happy moments to one negative moment, still your mindset becomes happy. So you have to ensure you start observing, you start experiencing consciously the happy moments in your life, which is very, very important. So how do we do that? As I mentioned earlier, that unfortunately the happiness is associated with the outcomes. How much bank balance do you have? So you're happy, the person is sad. Do you have a home to live? Do you have your own house? So you're happy or not happy? You have a good relationship, so you're happy, you're not happy. Did you succeed? You're happy. Do you have a good career? You're happy or not happy. So we have a clear cut distinguishing factor in the society where things, if they go wrong, the whole focus is wandering on that, and we lose out on the good things that are happening to us in day-to-day life. Day-to-day life. This is again my very very common example, which I often keep citing again and again and again, because I feel it is pretty connecting to every person. We wake up in the morning. Don't you think that that is one big reason to really feel happy about? Because there are many who don't see the next day. You have food to eat. You have a shelter above your head. You have somebody to talk to. You are able to live. There are many who don't have that. There are many who don't have that. Because if you notice the happy moments that keep happening in your life, you will understand that life is made up of many 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 happy things. Many happy things. Because we usually underlook them. You're waking up in the morning, and then you're just sitting at your home and then having a cup of coffee for yourself. That is such a beautiful thing. Many cannot even afford that. There are many in the country, many in the world. We're talking about a bigger platform where people really don't have anything. So you have that. Be happy about it. So your friend calls you and just checks out with you how you're doing. Be happy about it, because how many people do that? How many people do that? People don't do that. Be happy that you have somebody in your life to do that. You have somebody in your life to support that. Because and you're able to have your 3 square meal. That's you have your square meal. That is something to be happy about, because there are many who are starving without food. You have something to talk to, live. You have somebody to show love and affection, feel happy about, because there are many people who don't have anybody to show them affection. If you just sit and consciously notice, you will note that your life is made up of many 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 small instances, and these small instances all give you happy emotions. But we catch hold of one big thing, or one small thing that is disturbed, and we start wondering, our minds start wondering about the things that didn't really help us. So how do we really build this positive mindset? This is going to be my last strategy that I will be teaching you today. The first thing that you need to do is, when you wake up in the morning, start journaling. That is pretty important. It's pretty easy to state that. Take a book, before going to sleep. Note down all the things that made you happy. It could be the colorful blooms in your garden. It could be the nice smell coming from the kitchen, or it could be you're hearing to something very good, your favorite music, or the voice of your friend who made you happy in the morning. It could be anything. Just keep making note of. You tell yourself that I am, before going to sleep, I'm going to note down at least 5 things for 1 week to ensure what are the happy things that I'm seeing. At least 5 things, that made me happy and for which I'm grateful. Many people don't have that. Because I have this, I'm grateful about it. Start noting down. Probably after a week or so, start noting down 10 things. Keep increasing your number. That way you will understand that your life is made up of many many good things. And the little thing that comes in between that disturbs you will not appear, it will not magnify itself. It will not stand like an invincible a situation. You'll feel this is a small problem out of many things. That's okay. I can sort it out. That's not a big deal. This is the way you need to train yourself. You need to train your mind. Train your mind onto it, and then train your thought process, and most important, be conscious of what is happening around you. Because most of the times We either, as I mentioned, we either live in the past with guilt and regret, or live in the future with anxiety. What is going to happen? What happens if I fail in the project? What will happen if this boy says no to me or this girl says no to me? What will happen if we break up in the relationship? We're always either anxious, or there is a guilt or regret in our relationships. Regret or guilt. So let us start living in the moment. Let us start. How is it possible? It is possible when you start becoming conscious of your surroundings, conscious of your surroundings, conscious of what is happening around you. Conscious of like how you gonna deal with the things. You become very very conscious about it. So this is something that you need to consciously see, check your situations, and appreciate the things that are happening around you, and be grateful to what is happening around you, because there are many people who don't have that. And probably because as long as you're healthy, we don't bother to exercise, but once we are bedridden, we want to exercise, but we cannot do that. There is always a regret at some point, that we didn't do that, we could have done that, we should have done that, but we didn't do that. And apologize when you feel you have hurt somebody emotionally. Don't have an ego sitting on the head. Just apologize, because relationship is much more important. Relationship is much more important, than anything else. Learn to apologize. Your ego doesn't come down. Rather, you become a bigger person in life. You become a person with a stronger personality. You're a person who can say that I apologize, things go wrong. You believe that life is made up of both positive and negative aspects. So start apologizing when you feel it is the time you couldn't be a part of your friends, relatives, good times, or you couldn't really make them feel happy for some reason. Learn to apologize. That is pretty important. Pretty important. Be very conscious of what is happening in your life. Start noting down the positive things and start noting it down. Just observation isn't enough, because it has to drive down into your conscious mind. Most of the things we overlook and we leave it. But let's not do that. Let's be very very conscious that we are doing this, and we have done this, we have succeeded, we saw this, so there is something big that is happening, and we have achieve this. So let's start observing that. So this is the time, this is the day that you start becoming conscious of all the great things that are happening to you, and all the good things that are happening to you, and apologize, and learn the habit of saying no. When you have to say no, don't force yourself onto it, and don't think because this is an opportunity which I lose forever, maybe I lose forever. Don't do things that goes against your values and your strong beliefs. Don't do anything that goes against your values, because if you do something that goes against your values, it stays with you for your lifetime. It starts giving you that kind of guilt. So don't do that. I think with these are the small things that you can start implementing in your day-to-day lives, to see like how you can be happy, and how you can really bring in a lot of things. So with this, I end my talk, and thank you so much, and it's such a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kavita. I really liked your session, and while I was off camera, but all my heart and ears were into it. And I personally felt like the topic that you spoke about, the hardwired, how hardwired we are from the childhood, like what is good and what is bad. It somehow does affect, in the long run. So I think now with coming up generations, we can have that handled. And the journaling part, I myself have been doing journaling now since 2 years now, and it has a huge impact over my productivity and how, as an entrepreneur, how I manage my day. It has become like, very good. Even I motivate my team to, write it down at the start of your day, what you have to do, what have to be done, what to be carried forward for tomorrow. I think that's an excellent
Thank you.
point that you covered. Uh, uh, I think we are nearing the time, but we will just see if there are any questions.
Sure.
Okay. So we have one question. How can I focus on myself? Because there are people who will keep coming to me and distract me in doing whatever I do.
Okay. This is where your art of saying no comes into picture. I
Yes.
said, that's the first thing I mentioned about. If you're doing something and if you know that is important for you, no matter what the relationship is, the most important thing, because you know your work is more important, because it is going to give you a career, that is going to give you an identity, that is going to really impact the company in a way, in a big way, and that is what you're put up there for, or that is what you're doing it for yourself, for your own benefits. I think that is where the art of saying no comes into picture. Be very honest and you can say that, can I talk with you a little later, because I'm very, right now busy with this. No, you can be very diplomatic, very friendly, rather than saying that, giving some false pretext of, some false pretext or something like that. You can be very honest, because let me tell you one thing. I'm, at least in my life, I've noticed that honesty is something that really helps you. Reason why you have a good night's sleep. You don't need to be guilty that, you had to lie to somebody, you had to be manipulative to somebody. You don't need to be that. I'm this, you like me, take me, or else no, that's okay. 134 crore population. If one person leaves, so what's the big deal about it? This is what I keep telling people, like, who have relationship breaks. They keep saying that girl or boy has left me and I'm so upset about it. I say that's okay. That's only one. We have 133 crore population. You have so much to choose from. If somebody has left you, maybe you have a bigger choice to make in life. It's easier said than done, but but that is something. There's a way that you look at it. You cannot really hold on, trying to crib on, trying to cry on, trying to wail on that this has happened to me.
Thank you. Beautifully put down by you.
Thank you.
All right. And we have no more questions. So I think thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Kavita, for taking time out and sharing your valuable insight at this conference. We always call upon motivational speakers because we in the tech field tend to do so much of hard work around and we feel burnout and everything. We all need that kind of,
Yeah.
talk where we can lighten down and, relax, just sit and relax and see how things are and weigh the possibilities and go forward. I think excellent session, and I hope a
Thank you.
lot of people, those who are seeing and will see in the future, would benefit from this. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
in, and I will see you next year as well.
Sure.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Pooja. Thank you, Shivani. Thank you.